Even though I'm personally pursuing a one-bag life, I'm very aware that these kinds of extreme lifestyles definitely come with their downsides. That's why we'll see in this video what the major downsides of a one-bag life are, so you can decide for yourself if it's maybe interesting to you or not. And as always, I will give you my best tip on how you can deal with the possible downsides of such an extreme lifestyle like one-bag life, even if you are not pursuing a one-bag life at the end of the video, so don't miss out. For all of you who are new to my channel, I'm Sven, just an extreme minimalist with less than 150 possessions, whose biggest desire is to live his whole life out of just one backpack. So if you end up liking the video, don't forget to subscribe and like, but most important, share a comment with your thoughts at the end of the video and join me on my journey to a true one-bag life and to find out how an extreme minimalist lifestyle looks like. But I would say, let's get started. I think everybody who is watching this video right now experienced at some point or another some downsides for his own lifestyle, no matter if it's extreme or not. Maybe it was just some roadblocks for your personal development, or maybe some more difficult situations where you don't ever think you would fall into. No matter what it is, sometimes it can be very challenging or difficult to go all through this without any kind of plan, I would say. For me, it was definitely the same, no matter if it was minimalism or extreme minimalism and then a one-bag life. Sooner or later, I realized there are some downsides to every of these lifestyles. Some of them, or I would personally say most of them actually, were like minor downsides, as I mentioned, like some roadblocks that are easy to overcome, but some of them were actually quite difficult to deal with and even impacted the rest of my life outside these specific lifestyles, and in some cases even some persons in my life. So I definitely need to find a way how to deal with these more difficult downsides. And as I said, it was the same with a one-bag life. I think I had a very good start, but after some time I found the first minor downsides, I would say, that were, as I mentioned before, very easy to come over with. But at some point there are more major downsides or more difficult ones that I need to deal with to find my own solution to be able to successfully go on with that kind of extreme lifestyle. Actually, the first downside I found for myself pursuing a one-bag life was the amount of research I need to do to find the perfect items that can all fit inside of this bag and be as compact and multifunctional as possible. Don't get me wrong, as an extreme minimalist, I love researching new stuff and new things that could help me with my lifestyle or improve my whole life, and then fitting into, as I said, an extreme lifestyle like extreme minimalism. But if you're pursuing a one-bag life, it's, for me personally, a whole nother level. Because not only should these items be essential, but they need to be as compact as possible and have as much, I would say, utility or as much things you can use them for as possible. And even though you're researching a lot as an extreme minimalist, for a one-bag life, you need to spend a lot of more time to find the right things that, as I said, can fit in just one carry-on sized backpack, which is much harder than you think, especially when you're considering the weight of the bag shouldn't be too heavy because you're carrying it all the time, and some airlines have very strict weight limits. On the other hand, I think a one-bag life isn't as convenient as you might think. And yes, I know, in the last video I told you everything about the big and major advantages of a one-bag life in my personal opinion, and I think the freedom to go everywhere and to have only the essentials that you need are maybe the most important things to me right now and this extreme lifestyle. But on the other hand, that sometimes comes with a little bit of inconvenience, especially when we're talking about bags and your daily carry. Because even though I'm having my big bag where everything fits, I have also a sling. But in some situations, especially when you're going to the beach or somewhere else where you need maybe a little bit more stuff that doesn't fit in a sling like that, you would need to take your whole big bag, which is most of the times much bigger than everything that you would carry. So the inconvenience lies there where you can't decide which bag to take. One other downside that I think you would expect at the first moment is that it's sometimes hard to incorporate a one-bag life into your daily life. Because when you size down to all the essentials that you need to make some major compromises and sacrifices at one point or another. That is especially true, I would say, for things like clothes and toiletries, but for many people, or some people maybe even on tech. So if you're going full one bag life in a carry-on sized backpack, I would say at some point you need to make sacrifices, because you can't wear or you can carry every type of clothes that you need, because it will fill up maybe more than half of your bag already, and you still need to carry some other essential items. So this is, I would say, one of the major things that also will shift your daily life, I would say, or your whole life in general, because if you only focus on the essentials, as I said, some sacrifices need to be made, even if it means that you need to buy something on the road, especially toiletries like shower gel or everything else. So just be aware that a major downside is it will impact your daily life as well. Lastly, let's talk about maybe one of the biggest downsides of a one bag life, and that is actually money. So don't get me wrong, you can save a lot of money if you're just living out of one carry-on size backpack. But I would say the cost up front, so before you start in your one bag life, is maybe higher or much higher in some cases than you would expect. Because as I said, you need to get a lot of things that are very multi-purpose and I would say very high quality, because you don't want to break them every time, or you don't want to break anything important on the road when you maybe don't have the chance to buy it right on the next day or on the same day. So even though you are saving a lot of money, the cost upfront maybe can be sometimes very high, especially when it comes to clothes, in my opinion, because I would say all of the clothes I'm carrying right now are very high quality clothes. And these t-shirts, for example, cost around, I would say, 50 euros per shirt. In some cases, you need to spend a lot of money to save then a lot of money, because you buy once quality items and then get a lot of benefit and a lot of time use from them. So don't need to buy them every year or every 2 years, and can save then a lot of money. But as you can see, even as an extreme minimalist who is pursuing a one bag life, there are definitely some minor and major downsides to such an extreme lifestyle. But for me personally, the positives or the benefits I mentioned in the last video definitely outweigh the negatives or the downsides of a one bag life by far. So I will definitely continue my personal journey to a true one bag life, even I'm aware of these downsides. Now that you know what I think are the major downsides of a one bag life, here is my best tip on how you can deal with the possible downsides of other extreme lifestyles, even though you are not pursuing a one bag life. The most important thing I can tell you is to not cancel right away when it gets difficult. Especially in an extreme lifestyle like maybe a one bag life, there will be some difficult situations where you realize you have maybe some major downsides that can impact yourself and the people around you. But as I said, don't quit right away, because I think there are some paths that you can take to make your extreme lifestyle a little bit easier, so you don't need to necessarily quit the whole lifestyle, but especially the parts that are very difficult or straining to you can be much easier. The first thing, and I think the easiest thing to do, would be to find a lifestyle that is not as extreme as yours, especially the parts of an easier lifestyle that are straining to you at the moment. I think personally every extreme lifestyle has a similar lifestyle that is not as extreme as the lifestyle you want to pursue or you're pursuing at the moment. Maybe as an example, every, I think, extreme minimalist was a regular minimalist before. So if you find yourself in a very difficult situation with the major downsides you can't personally deal with, I would look back or take a step back to regular minimalism to see if there is a concept or a way that is maybe not as extreme as extreme minimalism that can help you to pursue an extreme lifestyle, but not as extreme as it was before. The other path that you can take is to quit the thing that should be, very specific to you, that is straining you, or that is a very major downside to you personally. Maybe the best example would be if you're pursuing, I would say, extreme minimalism as an example, but you want to pursue your hobby, which takes a lot of time and also a lot of equipment, like maybe golf or something else, where you need a lot of items, and you don't want to sacrifice your time on your hobby just because you're turning to extreme minimalism. I would say if you can't find a workaround through, as I said before, lighter path through minimalism, then you should definitely quit it like the whole thing. So you can say to yourself, you are still an extreme minimalist, but maybe not for your personal hobby because you love the hobby so much that it doesn't include you in the whole lifestyle of extreme minimalism. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and like, but most important, share a comment down below with the major downsides of an extreme lifestyle you may be pursuing at the moment or you're interested in. The next video will be about my most important rules for a one-bag life, so in my opinion it gets much easier and more manageable. In the meantime, you can watch my last video where I show you the major benefits of a one-bag life. But as always, thank you so much for watching and I see you in the next video.